Okay, Photo Universe, so this is part 2 of our landscape composition element theory. And we're looking at our Columbia River Gorge shot, which we talked about in part 1. And so, what's the point here? So, we're walking around and trying to take some shots, some landscape shots. Sometimes we go out, landscape shots. So, sometimes we go out on the photo expedition, right? We're going for a day hike, we're going backpacking, we're taking a drive in the car, whatever. But our goal is to go out and make some photographs. Okay. Do we know of that these elements are going to come together? No, not really. We're hoping that they will. And so, you know, rarely what happens is we're out photographing with the intent to photograph and 5 elements come together. More likely you're doing something else and you're seeing 5 elements. How many times you're driving around in the car and you're seeing 3 or 4 elements come together and you go, wow, that might be a good shot, but you're not taking pictures and you're going somewhere else, right? That happens a lot. Well, the trick is to have your gear with you and you see 5 elements come together and you just have to stop. Okay, so let's look at some more photographs and we'll analyze them for the elements that came together. Now, there are some fundamental elements. Like, for example, good light is an element. Okay, let's talk about that shot there. All right, that's a good one. Let me zoom that in a little bit. Okay. There we go. Okay, so good light is an element. What's happening here, okay, that was a day that I was up at the Japanese Gardens in Portland, Oregon, all right, and this maple tree is very famous. A lot of photographers taking this photograph of this maple tree, this perspective even. But the thing is, like, the composition in the shot was already there to a certain extent. There's nothing original about that. But the trick to this shot was that day was spectacular. And why was that day spectacular? There was low clouds, low fog, and it was a very thin fog layer, so the sun was backlighting the fog. I mean, you know, plus it was like October 23rd or something when the trees had turned. I mean, that day I walked out of that garden with 3 or 4 really top-notch shots. There's another one in here somewhere. That one right there. Okay, that was all taken on the same day. And I've got a few more even. So the point is I woke up that morning and I said to myself, you know, let's go up to the Japanese Gardens because it looks like an interesting day. And the elements came together. Okay, that's a day when you wake up and you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to go do photography today because the light's good. And that's a fundamental element, is the light. You can't, if you don't have the light working in your favor, it's going to be really hard to do anything. Okay, so that's a main element. Uh-oh, my deal's falling apart here. Okay, let's talk about another shot. Let's talk about this one. Okay, so what's happening there? My board's falling over here. Okay, this shot is interesting. So I can move that over just a little bit more. Okay, now what we got going on here is there's 2 elements right off the bat. It's a field of tulips in bloom at sunset. Okay, on a clear day, no clouds. So a field of tulips in bloom at sunset. So I got 2 elements. Just walking around in this field of flowers in bloom at sunset, I got 2 elements. Okay? Well, I'm making a lot of mediocre 2-element shots. And the person I was with said, hey, look at these 2 flowers. They're dancing or kissing. And I jumped all over that. Okay? So there's 3 elements. I got 2 tulips intertwined. Now, how did I turn that into a really spectacular something or other? And I know this is a spectacular shot. It's been made into a poster. People buy it all the time. That photograph's made me a lot of money. I call it Tulip's Kiss. Okay, but so I got 3 elements now. How did I turn that into a 5-element photograph? This is how I did it. Okay, I took this photograph from about 6 inches away from these flowers, and I did it with a fisheye lens, which, now that I've said it, now that the cat's out of the bag, photographers will go, oh, I get it. Okay, that's a fisheye lens, 4 elements. I used fill flash to fill in the shadows of these lights. I used to fill in the light here on these flowers. I got 5 elements. you get to 5 elements, you pretty much have a world-class photograph. I mean, that's the bottom line. And people argue, oh, pop-up flashes aren't professional on cameras. Yeah, they are. Look at that. I couldn't have done that without a pop-up flash, because I didn't have flash with me. Okay? So, what camera did I shoot this with? This was on a Nikon D300 with a pop-up flash and the Nikon 10.5 fisheye. And it was the fisheye and the pop-up flash that gave me 2 additional elements on top of 3. Strong subject, field of flowers at sunset. Okay, 5 elements. You get a 5-element photograph. Okay, yeah. Sometimes though, I mean, let's look at it. We got the light working for us, backlit, but you know what? What we got going on here, sometimes this is 2 elements, subject and light, but we're taking a photograph of an icon. Okay, so this is 5 elements here. This is 2 elements, but one of the elements is an icon. And what do I mean by an icon? Arches. You go to Arches National Park and you're photographing Turret Arch. Okay, you get a decent sunset or sunrise behind it. You got an icon. Okay, you take a photograph of an icon in good light, it's a winner. You only need 2 things. You need an icon and you need good light. Okay, that's an iconic photograph. Anybody can go into this garden, pay their fees, become a photography member, set up the shot, bang, you're there. There is some technique in here. This is a wide angle lens. That was taken with a 12mm and Nikon D200. Okay, so icon, all right, yeah. So you get an icon. I got some other, I don't do a lot of iconic shots. That's another photograph from that day. It's all taken on the same day. There's 3 photographs. Okay? So, yeah, the stronger photographs have more elements in them. Okay? So then you need to make a composition out of it. All right? Fog, strong subject, trees, super wide angle 20mm lens, shot underneath, trees wrap around on top of you, 3 elements. Strong shot, strong subject, 3 elements. Okay? So, alright, so that's part 2, and hopefully that's helping people think about landscape photography. There may be a part 3 if I can think of all the things I forgot to talk about in parts 1 and 2. So, alright, that's it with the Photo Universe. Hope that spurs some people on to some easier thinking about composition. Alright, post the comments if you have any. Appreciate it. Thanks for all the support. We're growing by leaps and bounds, and we appreciate it. It makes it feel like it's all worthwhile. Hopefully somebody's learning something. I'm really enjoying doing these videos, so thanks a lot. Okay.